When talking about the greatest One Piece moment, there's a large variety to pick from. I mean, the show is filled with moments to make you cry, laugh, and even some that make you want to throw up and gouge your eyes out so the arc finally ends. Not thinking about anyone in particular, though. But for real, there's a lot of great moments in this show. For example, every time Zoro takes off his shirt— I'm sorry. I know it's too early to be down bad. However, I believe there's one moment that completely changed the show, and that was the Luffy and Usopp breakup arc. While at first glance this may seem like a normal breakup, upon a closer glance, this breakup is one of the most impactful breakups I've ever seen. I'm gonna stop using the breakup analogy. Before we talk about why this moment was so impactful though, we need to talk about what happened before the moment. During Water 7, we found out that the Going Merry was following in the footsteps of its previous owner. Get it, because its previous owners were also dead? Never mind. As Merry was on the verge of dying, Luffy decided that it was time to lay it to rest, which angered Usopp, like, a lot. However, there's also one more thing to note. Before the fight, Robin had also disappeared, so not only was the crew distressed about them losing their ship, the Going Merry, but they were also scared of losing Robin, another one of their precious friends. Oh yeah, and Usopp also got beat up by the entirety of the Frankie house in what I can only describe as— well, just look at him. It was pretty bad. Alright, now on to why this moment matters. For one, this was the crew's first massive argument. I mean, they had a crew member leave before, but that was a completely different situation. This was the first time we realized the crew could possibly not last the entire journey. I mean, for the previous 400 or so chapters, it seemed like they were going to be smooth sailing for the entire show. It seemed like no matter what came between them, they were going to stay together forever. However, as we watched Usopp and Luffy begin to fight, we realized that that may not be the case. Seeing the two of them fight was heartbreaking, but it was also here we got to see one of the greatest Sanji moments, him kicking Luffy. As Luffy came dangerously close to telling Usopp to get off of his ship, we see how Sanji reminds Luffy that his words have power, and that he needs to watch what he's saying. Seeing Sanji make sure that Luffy watched his words was so cool because he's usually not seen as the responsible one. He's usually seen as the horny one because— well, he is, but in this moment he wasn't a horny Harry, he was a responsible Richard. What just left my mouth? I think the fact that this was a massive argument made this moment 10 times more important because the show relies on the crew. The crew's bond with each other is the reason the show can continue, and watching the bond be threatened was heartbreaking. We were already down a crew member, and losing 2 crew members in one arc would be— well, it would probably end the show. Not literally, because we had other crew members, but you know what I mean. Another thing this moment did was it established that the crew was an actual crew. I mean, like, it was already established that this was a crew because it's a show about pirates and pirates have crew— wow, I am really bad at explaining shit. What I'm trying to say is that before this moment, it felt like the crew was only a family. It appeared like there was no respect and that they functioned more like a group of friends traveling the sea. However, as it became clear through this moment, there was a hierarchy. Luffy wasn't just cute and stupid, he was also their captain. Even if he may be the dumbest man alive, he still needs respect for the ship to function. By disrespecting him, Usopp had effectively resigned himself from the crew. This moment made it clear that all of the crew members had to respect their captain. At the same time, however, it also made clear that Luffy had to respect his crew because his words have power. Through this moment, we were reminded that this was a real crew. While Nami beat Luffy up more than Garp ever did, she still respected him. More than Garp ever did as well. Wow, Garp was a shit grandparent. Another thing this moment did extremely well was it absolutely broke our hearts. I think all of us were crying watching Luffy and Usopp fight. I mean, they were best friends, and to see that friendship be ruined was the most depressing thing ever. To see 2 best friends torn apart made all of us cry. But also, I think what hurts even more was seeing Luffy still love him. Watching Luffy crying after he beat Usopp broke my heart more than the heart attack I have every time Foxy shows up. All of it was just a depression shit show, and it gave us a glimpse of how we would feel if the crew ever did break up. And when the backstory played right before Luffy knocked him out— shit, I'm tearing up. And while this moment was focused on Usopp and Luffy, I think we should talk about the rest of the crew's reactions as well, because I think it shows a lot about them. Sanji was shook, but he was frozen in place, almost as if he wanted to stop Luffy, but knew deep down this was right. Nami and Chopper were extremely distressed and breaking down into tears as we see how they can't handle the infighting and just want the crew together. And my husband, Zoro, was just stone cold. He knew that he had to follow his captain, and honestly, I think Zoro deserves a special shout out in this moment. He made sure the crew was grounded and knew that you can't simply disrespect the captain. In this moment, he cemented himself as a true first mate. In fact, he was oozing respect for Luffy. And finally, we had Robin. She was— get it, because she wasn't there. Another thing this moment did was help us realize, oh shit, everything's going to shit. At this point in the arc, it seemed like we had no hope left. We were getting fucked from the inside and the outside. What? No. We had to deal with the problems from the outside and within the crew itself. In this arc, it wasn't just CP9 we had to worry about. We had to worry about the possibility of the crew disbanding, our ship dying, and the possibility of not seeing Zoro shirtless, all of which are very valid concerns. However, after all this, the moment did something else as well. It showed us that the crew still loved each other. Seeing Usopp go out of his way to ask his friend Sogeking to join them was so heartwarming, and seeing how after everything that happened, they were still a family, it proved that they could last. While at first it seemed like the crew would disband, seeing that the crew could last through the absolute worst of times was just reassuring. We knew that no matter what would happen, we would be fine. We could take on challenges that came our way. Even when Sanji left, we knew they'd go all out to bring him back. This moment was so special because it did so many things at once. It not only made us an emotional mess, but it showed us that the crew could do it. It was in an odd way reassuring, while also being, well, the complete opposite of that. So overall, I do believe this is one of the most important moments in One Piece. It wasn't world-changing like Gear 5, but it did show us a lot of things about the group we were following, which is, in my opinion, equally as important. It gave us a lot of emotional depth to characters like Usopp and Luffy, and showed how nothing could tear the crew apart. This moment also gave us a better understanding of the crew and how they function, while also establishing the responsibilities of the crew and the captain. And finally, we got to see Usopp fight, which was actually kind of cool. I mean, we knew he'd get shit on, but like, at least he got shit on in a cool way, you know? Like, he was like Batman pulling shit out, and I'm gonna stop talking. So overall, that's it for me. Thank you.